I was always taught that there are, people that will kind of come in and out of your life, and some of those people are a blessed subtraction. Um, and then there's Pastor Andrew, who is a pure blessing. Don't we love him? Yeah. I tell you, him and Riley and the kids, they are just such a joy and a blessing, and we're just grateful to have them on staff, be a part of our church today. Amen? Amen. So good. All right, let's get into the word today. Let me ask you a question. Where are you this morning? Are you, would you say, if you did an evaluation, an assessment of yourself right now, would you say that you're a 1, as in this is the worst day ever? This is the worst day ever. Nothing is going right. Everything is going wrong. The alarm didn't go off. People in my life have been texting me, and it's all bad stuff. Relationships are not good. Work is not good. School is not good. I've got all these assignments that I have to do, and I don't know when to do it. And it's just a very, very, very bad day. Are you a 1 today? Maybe, is anyone here a 10? This is the best day ever. Oh, wow. I had someone just raise their hands so fast on that. This is a 10. Okay. The reality is for many of us, is you're probably somewhere in the middle. Am I right? It's not the worst day. It's not the best day. You're somewhere in the middle. You might say, you know what? This morning I woke up and my back's a little sore, but God is good. You might have woken up and the person that you're with did not wake up on the right side of the bed. And this is not confessional, so don't point them out. But you know what? You're good. We're good. Maybe you're here, you're a parent, and your kids are just testing you in this season. You know that season, right? They're just testing your patience. Maybe you're a student here and your parents are testing your patience. And you're just like, I get it. I have to make decisions in life. Okay. Maybe you've had an experience like me. It was a couple months ago. And I don't know what happened. I was getting ready to talk on a Sunday morning, and it's as if I forgot how to drink. You ever been there before where it's like I forget that I had to put my lips on the lid of the coffee cup? And so I literally, Sunday morning, this is probably a couple months ago, and I just went like this to drink the coffee, and it just, and I was wearing a white T-shirt. Yeah. And so, funny enough, though, I literally was just like, okay, like I'm literally about to talk in like 5 minutes. So I put my jacket on and I zipped it up. And I kid you not, within like that 5 minutes before service, I had like half a dozen people come up to me and they were like, Pastor, you look different today. I was like, I know! Not the worst day, though. Maybe a 4. That's okay. You see, most of us today would say that we're probably somewhere in the middle. And that's the reality for all of us when it comes to life. Most of your life is lived somewhere in the middle. It's not the worst day. It's not the best day. It's not the worst season. It's not the best season. Overall, you're pretty fine. You're okay. And so it's not like in these crisis moments that we're facing right now in these celebrations. Today is just an ordinary, normal day. You're thankful for the sun. There's stuff to do, and that's okay. Well, we've been in this series right now talking about mountains, valleys, and everything in between. And for many of us, when we talked about the mountaintops, the thing that we needed to remember was that when you're on the mountaintop, when you're a 10, when life is going well, what do we need to do? We need to make sure that we don't forget about God, right? God is the one who gets us there. It's those moments where we praise. It's those moments where we encourage and we inspire and we help those in need. We're also reminded, though, in the valleys. We talked about the valleys last week. And what do we do in the valleys? We remember that in the valleys that the Lord is with us. And not only is he with us, that he is also leading us through in the valley. We remember not to forget about God on the hills and in the great moments, but we also remember in the valleys that the Lord is leading us through. I know that the Lord will provide, right? Then I was thinking as I was preparing for this week, as I was thinking about, we've talked about mountaintops, we've talked about the valley. What about a Tuesday? What about a Tuesday? Like, have you ever thought about this? Monday is clearly like a bad day, right? Because Monday, you have all these activities that are coming. You're organizing. You're probably getting ready for meetings. You've got assignments to do. Monday is just Monday. It's a case of the Mondays, right? Tuesday, though, you're not really able to talk anymore about what you did on the weekend, right? The weekend activities kind of fade away. And then all of a sudden, all the work starts piling up on Tuesday. You start feeling the pressure on Tuesday. And you also come to the realization on a Tuesday that Friday is so far away. Am I right? So what do we do on a Tuesday? What do we do when life is just blah? It's normal. It's fine. It's not dramatic. It's just happening. When our prayers aren't that urgent in the moment, life is steady. What do you do when life is ordinary? And I think for many of us, we just all do the same thing. We just live. You just go about your day. You wake up, you work, you go to school, you eat, you scroll, you sleep, and then you repeat. Am I right? It's kind of the routine that we get in seasons that are just ordinary. We do these things over and over and over and over again. And I've always wondered, especially in the ordinary, when life is just happening, you ever find yourself looking back and going, I never realized how important that season was that I thought was just ordinary. I didn't realize what it was doing to me when I was going through this. Or I can't believe that this happened. I mean, anyone ever look back at your life and literally just go, when did I do that? Like, this is what I love about on my phone now when I see all these pictures. Because my kids will show me these pictures and they're like, Dad, when did you do that? And I'm like, that's a good question, right? That was around the time you were born, so I don't remember anything, right? We all have these moments where we look back and realize suddenly we come to terms with how important every single season is in our lives. So today, rather than just living, rather than just surviving, rather than just going through ordinary, I want to give a couple thoughts, really simple thoughts for each and every one of us that I hope can really impact your day, help you today, and also as you just navigate through the everyday, ordinary life. So the first thing I want to do is I want you to write this down. And I want you to remember this, because this is so important. Put it in your phone if you need to. Set it as a screenshot. Set it as a saver. Whatever you need to do to remember this, because I find it so simple and yet so important. We can sometimes forget this. It's this, is that God is still present and active in the ordinary. God is still present and active in your ordinary season. What you would call ordinary, God is still active and present. Just because life isn't dramatic doesn't mean doesn't mean that he's distant. Just because life isn't chaotic doesn't mean that he's not present right now. I love what Psalms 139 says. Psalms 139, the author says, "Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence?" Doesn't this give you like Jonah vibes in the Bible? Jonah, right, who was eaten by the big giant fish. He tries to flee from God, flee from God's presence, flee from going to Nineveh. Right? The psalmist is saying the same thing. He's going, where can I go? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn. Doesn't that sound so nice? What does that mean? I don't know, but it sounds nice, right? What did you do this morning? I rose on the wings of the dawn, is what I did this weekend. If I settle on the far side of the sea, Even there, your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast. God is always with us. He's always with you, no matter where you go. The spiritual highs and the spiritual lows, God is there. God is present. Everything in between. Jesus, when he was about to go up to heaven after he had served so faithfully on the earth, and he had given his life and rose from the dead, he's literally looking amongst all his disciples, and he says this. He says to them, he goes, I want you to now go out and make disciples of all the nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And then he goes on to say this one thing. He says, I want you to remember this, that I am with you always. I'm with you always. Why don't you look at your neighbor, tell them, he is with you always. He's with you always. He's with you always. He's with you always. Every time I get you guys to do this, Rachel always says, why are you doing that? All right? Like, he's with you always. To the very end of the age, to the end of your life, he's with you. How special is that? There is no place that you can go that the Lord isn't with you, that the Lord is not present. In the greatest of moments in your life, he was cheering you on, rooting you on, celebrating. In the heaviest, darkest of moments, where you felt the loneliness, he was there present, encouraging you on, leading you through. Every step of the way, he was with you. God is not just present in the big moments, he's present in every single moment. And the thing is here is if you only look for him in the dramatic moments, you will miss him in the daily moments, which are so important for us. So even right now, think about it. Like, what did you do this weekend? Where did you go this weekend? Who are the people that you talked to this weekend? The interactions that you had, the great moments, the not so great moments, the things that you're proud of, maybe the things that you're not proud of. The Lord was there every step of the way. He was there in those moments. And so Proverbs actually gets us to take a step further this idea of his presence and his activity in our lives. Proverbs 6 says, in all of your ways, acknowledge him. In all of your ways, in everything that you do, acknowledge, and he will make straight your path. He's not just present in the crisis, not just in the major decisions, but in all of your ways, in all of the things that you do, he's there. He's there. And this is the part that I feel like sometimes is the heaviest. You see, one of the greatest dangers in the ordinary is not that God leaves. It's that we stop noticing him. We stop recognizing that God is with us. We make these assumptions that he's there in the highs and the lows, but somewhere in between, he's off busy doing other things. The thought that he's not with us, he doesn't notice what we're doing, or we stop noticing his presence. How we can go through our day, wake up, go to work, go to school, eat, scroll, sleep, and forget that God was with us the whole time. Just recently, I had to go to a situation that had arisen, and I was able to walk through some challenging things with some people, and I went home and I was about to go to bed, and I was thinking to myself, I was like, God, how did I respond to that? Was that good? Like, was that how you would have responded? And I found myself saying those things, and I felt like the Lord saying, no, yeah, what you said was fine. There's just one problem. And I was having this conversation with the Lord, and I was like, what was that? What was the one thing? And he goes, you didn't acknowledge my presence going into that conversation. You actually missed the fact that I was there before. And you kind of just dove in. How many times in our lives have we gone through seasons, have we gone through circumstances that are not necessarily a crisis, not necessarily a victory or anything like that, but how many times have we gone through life where we don't notice that God is present and what God is trying to do in the moment to speak to you? How many times? I think about that, the amount of times where God was trying to speak to me, because the Bible does say that he speaks to us. How many times have I gone through my life where the Lord was trying to speak to me about something, to maybe speak into someone's life, and I was just looking the other way because I was distracted by something else? How many times has the Lord not only tried to speak to us, maybe he's tried to show us something in a season? He's been trying to do something in your life in that moment, trying to get a hold of you so that you would walk in obedience, so that you would walk him in through those circumstances. How many times has he tried to show us something and we just weren't even paying attention because we were distracted by something else? I think of my life, and I think some of the major battles that I've fought, the struggles that I've went through, the things that I've had to navigate through life that I wouldn't wish on anyone. And I wonder, how many of those moments did I go through those circumstances only because I wasn't looking for the Lord as he was guiding me elsewhere, not wanting me to fight those fights in the first place? How many times have we done that? I wonder. And I don't say this in such a way as to make you feel like, man, I'm just a failure. I hate myself. No. I say that. I want to encourage you in this, is that today is a new day. God is wanting to speak to you. He's wanting to guide you. He's wanting to show you his goodness and his grace. He's wanting to lead you. Sometimes, yeah, it's through the valleys, but he's also moments where he's trying to lead you to greener pastures. He's trying to lead you to still waters. Are we noticing him in the everyday? Are we noticing him? God doesn't just want to be a part of your life. He wants to be every part of your life. He wants to be a part in the everyday life, every decision, every conversation, every quiet moment. He wants to be a part of those things. So walking in the ordinary for you and I today means talking to him throughout our day, inviting him into the small decisions of our lives, and becoming aware that he's already there. He's present in the moments. It's just you acknowledging it, saying, God, you're here in this conversation. I don't know about you, but every week for me looks very different. And there are many times where I know I'm going into a hard conversation. And so it's me going, God, I see that I'm going into this hard conversation. It's a critical conversation. There's going to be a lot of hurt there, a lot of frustration there. And so, God, I pray you would just give me discernment there, because you're there. Lord, I'm going into this challenging moment, and I just pray, Lord, your peace would be there. God, I'm interacting with these people over here, and I pray your joy would be there, that we would experience your joy, that you would just direct and you would strengthen and encourage. It's us recognizing that everywhere we go, when I go to the grocery store, he's there with me. Right? When I go to the mall, he's with me. When I go to the school, when I go to church, when I go to someone's house, when someone comes to my house, the Lord is there, present, active, and working. It's noticing that he's present. God, you're in this task. You're in this place. You're in this moment. You and I, we don't have to bring God to anything. He's already there. It's about you and I acknowledging his presence there and being open to anything that he would want to do. It's why every morning, one thing that I love to do is I love to wake up in the morning and just go, good morning, God. Before I look at my phone, before anything else. And every day, every week is different. You know, there's some weeks where, I wake up because my kids have hogged all the blankets. And I'm like, Lord, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Right? But every morning, just waking up and acknowledging the presence of Jesus, that God is with me, that God is in the room, that he's there, and he's wanting to be a part of every moment. And so just the willingness and that openness to go, and God, this is the plan, this is what I've got, but you tell me if anything needs to change. I want to be interruptible for him and what he's wanting to show, what he's wanting to say and do. God is present and active in the ordinary. And not only that, but when life is ordinary, I want to remember that the ordinary is always where God forms us. God forms you in the ordinary. Right? Those moments that we feel are just standard, everyday, routine, I'm just doing life. Those are the moments right there that God is often forming you in deeper ways than you can realize. I always think of the life of Jesus when I think about formation, especially seasons where life is just ordinary. Because if you look at the life of Jesus, there's something really fascinating about it. Because we see in the Old Testament, it's all preparing for the coming of the Messiah. And then finally, there's this miraculous birth. And we get to learn about some of the struggles that happened early on in Jesus' life, leading up to about 12 years old when he gets lost. Or his parents can't find him, let me put it that way. And they find him at the temple, and he looks at his parents at 12 years old, and he says, well, don't you know I would be in my Father's house? Right? And then from 12 years old, there's this massive gap until about 30 years old, where we learn, where we see his ministry, and we see that death and resurrection. And then he goes and he ascends to the Father. But what happened between 12 and 30? Have you ever thought about that? So much of Jesus' life is just a blank slate where we don't know what happened. Now, don't get me wrong. There's many things that we can assume in a positive way, and just even scholars would agree on. For example, we know that later on, Jesus, while he's doing ministry, that Pharisees and teachers of the law, they look at Jesus and they go, who is this guy? He's from Nazareth, and he's a carpenter. So we know that at some point in time, Jesus started doing his family business. His father, Joseph, was a carpenter, and so he started doing the same thing. Many scholars would also agree that at some point in that 12 to 30, that Joseph, his father, passed away. Because anything right when the ministry started, Jesus' ministry started at 30, you don't hear anything about Joseph. Nothing. There's nothing. And so many would actually come to believe that it was somewhere between 12 and 30 that Joseph, his father, passes away. And so being the oldest son, now Jesus is in charge of his family. Right? It's why he actually, on the cross, he says to John, John, this is now your mother, right? Talking to Mary, right? He's passing it on as the oldest son. He's saying this now to John. And Mary, this is now your son. There's these responsibilities and these things that we know about Jesus. But for so much of it, there's this blank slate about what happened between 12 to 30 in Jesus' life. And we don't know. We don't know all the details. But there is something that's so important in the ordinary, in the normal, everyday. And it's found in Luke chapter 2. It says this, in Luke chapter 2, 52, it says, and Jesus grew in wisdom in stature, and in favor with God and man. What happened in the ordinary? What happened in the routine? What happened in the everyday? We don't know all the details, but we know he grew. We knew he grew in wisdom, in favor, in stature. He grew in the quiet years, in the unnoticed years, in the ordinary years, in the mundane, in the routine. He grew. And the same is true for you and I today. You and I grow in the mundane, in the routine, in the everyday. Some of God's deepest work in your life today, whether you recognize it or not, if you're in the mundane, the routine of it all, is that God is wanting to work in and through you in a deeper way than you would even maybe recognize today. Many of us, we go through the week and we get to the weekend and then we go into the next week and it's, what did you do last week? Not much. And yet we see some of God's deepest work in seasons that look the least impressive. We see that in the seasons where Jesus was growing, and we don't hear a lot of details, we know that he was growing in wisdom and in stature and in favor with God and man. And I was thinking about it the other day. Have you ever gone on your phone and looked at that specific app that kind of lets you know all the details of what you've looked at on your phone and how much time you spent on your phone in a day? Right? How much of it was productive and how much it was on social media, how much of it was on like Candy Crush or something like that. Anyone ever bothered to look at it? A few of us? Yeah. Anyone scared to look at it? Yeah. Literally, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, oh, wouldn't that be fun to get a few people to like hand over their phones and we'll just put it up there? And I was like, I don't think anyone would do that, right? I think a lot of us would be shocked at how we spend our day. Peter, he says this when it comes to the Christian life, when it comes to our faith, when it comes to the everyday, normal routine of it all. He says this. He says, for this reason, make every effort to add to your faith goodness. To goodness, knowledge. To knowledge, self-control. And to self-control, perseverance. To perseverance, godliness. To godliness, mutual affection. And to mutual affection, love. For if you possess these qualities in increasing measure, they will keep you from being ineffective and unproductive in your knowledge of our Lord Jesus Christ. Right? So if you and I today, if we are intentional in our growth, our spiritual growth of rather than treating this season like routine or normal, I'm not a 10 and I'm not a 1, I'm somewhere in between. But if we were intentional, if we were intentional to do these things in this season, the Bible would say that it would make sure that you're being effective and productive. How many of you want to be effective and productive? I think most of us. No one wants on their headstone, Daniel Clark lived this long, unproductive, unfruitful. None of us want that. When people talk about Calvary, talk about our church, I don't want them to be like, what's Calvary like? Unproductive. It's unfruitful. There's a lot of promise at other churches. Go there. Right? I want people when they see my life, they see someone that's passionate about Jesus, that wants to grow in wisdom and knowledge and understanding, that's wanting to make every effort to grow in these things, in the normal everyday, when life is not a crisis and when life is not a victory, but every single day just doing this. So how does that happen, though? Like, how does it happen where Peter is saying, if you don't do these things, you become unproductive and unfruitful? And I think the reality for many of us is a lot of this happens in our lives where we become unfruitful and unproductive, we become ineffective, is literally, it's not because we go through a crisis, more than not, it's not because we go through victories or anything. It's the fact that we go through the ordinary day of our routine and just are not paying attention. Hebrews 2:1, it says this. It says, we must pay the most careful attention so that we do not drift away. You see, you and I, we don't really drift in seasons where we find ourselves on the mountaintop. Many of us don't naturally drift in the valley. We drift, though, in routine. We drift when life is normal. And that's why the ordinary matters so much. This season that you're in, where maybe you're between a 2 and a 9. That's why this season matters so much, because it's not wasted time. It's formation time. Right? Just like that famous scholar, MC Hammer, once said, it's hammer time. What is this season for you and I? For many of us, it's formation time. This is moments in the normal, everyday circumstance of your life where God is forming you, where He's shaping you more and more into His image, where He's wanting to speak into your life and show you things that you just never thought of before, where He's wanting to direct and guide your life and take you to places you've never been and take you out of circumstances that you were never meant to go to. He's wanting to shape and form your life. God, and this has become such a game changer in my own life, is that God does not just care about me making the right choices. He doesn't just care about that. He cares about who I'm becoming. Like, that matters a lot to Him. He cares about who you are becoming. If you were to ask yourself that today, just to take an assessment of your own life, ask yourself, who am I becoming? The people that I'm allowing in my life to speak into my life, are these people that are truly making me what I want to become? Right? Because they say that the 5 people that you hang out with the most are the ones who are shaping you the most. And that's where, for me, if Jesus is not number 1 on who's shaping my life, I'm missing the mark. He's my number 1. Right? But are you becoming the person that not just you want to be, but the person that God has called you to be, that God is directing you and leading you to be? He cares not just about the right choices you make, He cares about who you're becoming. And so it's in these seasons, in the ordinary, in the everyday, that we need to make an intentional decision to grow in faith, to grow in goodness, to grow in godliness. Finally, when life is ordinary, we need to remain faithful in the ordinary. We need to remain faithful. We need to be faithful. Luke 16, Jesus is talking to His disciples, and He gives this parable to them. And at the end of the parable, which is all about, it's all about what you do, not just your heart, but what you do with the time and the gifts and the opportunities that God has given you. He says this. He says to them, He says, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. You see, faithfulness is not just proven in the big moments. It's revealed in the small ones, in the everyday, the unseen, the routine of it all. God is not just wanting an occasional faithfulness in big moments. He's wanting and looking for consistent faithfulness in small moments too. In the moments where no one is looking, where obedience goes unnoticed completely, where consistency is considered boring. These are the moments that not only God is forming you, but He wants to see faithfulness. And so it makes you ask the question, like, there are things in my life that are not seeing. Is it because I lack faithfulness in the small moments? Am I being faithful in the small things? What does that look like? Like practically, what are we talking about here? Okay, let's put my life under a microscope. For example, am I being faithful in the small things? Am I loving my wife as Christ loved the church? Am I faithful to my wife in every season, high, low? All those things. Am I being faithful in the small things of being a good steward of my finances? Am I being intentional with my children, to love my children, to mentor them, to disciple them, and share with them about Jesus, and share to how, not just to be a good citizen, but a citizen of heaven? Am I instilling that wisdom in them? For you, right, it could look very much the same. And for you, it's am I being faithful to my spouse right now? Am I being honoring even amongst their failings and their uniqueness, their tendencies, whatever it is? But am I showing myself faithful in those small moments? Am I being faithful at my workplace, where I recognize that what I do matters? Am I being faithful at work, reflecting Christ in the workplace? Am I being faithful as I'm navigating through school, working on my assignments, getting my projects in, trying to just do my best? Not that I'll get an A+ or anything like that, but that I can just actually say that I did my best and I put the effort in. Right? Can we say that in the small things that we're being faithful? It's so important that we recognize this. God is wanting us to be faithful in the ordinary, what many would see small things. You see, Jesus, what he would be saying, what he said to his disciples, what he was speaking constantly to the Pharisees and the teachers of the law and the people that would come and seek him, he would imply just constantly, be faithful now. Be faithful here. Don't look for the big opportunities or the big moments. Just be faithful in the ordinary every day. If you can be trusted with the very little, you can also be trusted with much. I honestly believe that God is more pleased with daily quiet faithfulness than with occasional dramatic moments. I think it's awesome when you see someone in the big moments. You see their faithfulness. We look at David, right? Fighting Goliath. You see a man that was passionate for God. But David wasn't just recognized as a giant killer. He was a man that was recognized as someone who sought the Lord in every season, in the mountaintops, in the valleys, and everything in between. He just faithfully served the Lord. He faithfully served the Lord. And I think that's something that I'm always trying to keep in the forefront. Because I think so many times we can just get lost in the minutia of it all. We can get lost in the routine, get lost in the mundane. And yet most of our life is not lived on the mountaintop. It's not lived in the valley. It's lived in the in-between, in the ordinary, in the routine, in the everyday. And it's in those moments that we need to remember that God is present and active. Maybe for you that's the realization today. And it's not groundbreaking, but it's, you know what? I really haven't thought about that lately. That God is present in every step. And not just that he's forming you. Some of you, I was always taught, never wish to get out of a situation so fast that you don't learn from it. I think for many of us, it's the recognition that God is forming you right now, whether you realize it or not. God is forming you, wanting you to become more and more like him. Not just made in his image, but reflecting him in many ways. And then just being faithful in the small things. Because if you and I learn to walk with God in the everyday, ordinary life, we'll be ready on the mountaintops, and we'll be anchored in the valleys. If we just recognize that he's with us every step of the way. Tuesday afternoon matters more than you think. It matters because that's where life with God is built. That's where real faith is formed and built. Colossians 3:17, it says, whatever you do or say, or let me add this, whatever season you find yourself in today, do it as a representative of the Lord. Remember who you represent. Remember who you are a reflection of. As a child of God, someone who's put their faith in God, you reflect him. You represent him. Everything that you do, whatever you say, you do, whatever season you find yourself in, do it all for the glory of God, giving thanks to him always. And so today, as I'm just wrapping up here, if you're on the mountaintop today, I want to encourage you, celebrate it, get excited, enjoy it. Mountaintop moments are awesome, but make sure to share it. Encourage people while you're on the mountaintop. Love on people. Be intentional with them. And don't forget God. If you're in the valley today, don't lose heart. Do not lose heart. Don't lose heart. God is with you, and he's leading you through. He's leading you through every step of the way. And if you're somewhere in between, remember, God is forming you. God is present with you. And just continue to be faithful in the small things, trusting that God will lead you to much, much more. Let's pray. God, I just thank you so much for today. Lord, I thank you today, and we acknowledge you today, God, that you're here in this place. You're with us wherever we go. Where can we go that your presence doesn't go to? Lord, you're everywhere. In the hills and the valleys and everything between, God, you're there. And so, Father, I pray that we would have an awareness of your presence. And not just an awareness, but God, that we would walk in obedience. Lord, in every season, in the mundane, in the regular. Lord, I just pray for anyone right now. Lord, sometimes we can acknowledge you, but it doesn't mean that we are obedient to you. I pray, Lord, that this week, Lord, that there would be a knowledge of you. Lord, a desire for you to lead and to guide, but I also pray, Father, that they would walk obediently, hearing you and leading where you would direct them. God, I pray that in whatever season they find themselves, Lord, if they go out today, Lord, that they would just be a representative, a reflection of you wherever they go. Knowing that you're in that conversation. Lord, you're in that circumstance. You're in that trial. You're in that trouble. Lord, you're with them every step of the way. And you'll lead them through. And so, Father, I pray that we would be faithful in every season. Lord, whether we're a 10 and life is great, whether we're a 1 and we are literally going through the valley of the shadow of death. Lord, or anything in between. Lord, that we would seek you. We would put you first. We would seek your kingdom and trust in you. And so, Lord, in this season, especially in the middle, it's often a waiting season. I pray, Lord, that we would wait on you, that we would trust in you, and that we would see you in everything. We pray this in Jesus' name.